Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Um, I think I just want to take a look at a single question today. That's because I'm going to be a guest on a podcast in a little bit, and I don't want to be late for that, but I also didn't want to not show up today. Thank you to all of you who watched the Sunday conversation yesterday with Nancy Hendrickson. If you missed it, go back and watch that. Um, she is known as sort of the ancestral expert, and she has a third book coming out to round out her trilogy of ancestral tarot, ancestral grimoire, and now ancestral seance. So I've read all three. I read the manuscript of Ancestral Seance, the newest book. You can find it on Amazon. And she's got a new class coming out as well, and I'll let you know about that when those details are formalized. But it was a really fun show to do, and I hope you go and watch it if you've not had a chance to yet. Okay. The one thing that I really thought would be good to look at today is the situation that is brewing in Chicago. I have a vested interest. There are certain parts of the country that I have vested interests in. You know, California, of course, is where I live. Um, New York is where I grew up. New Jersey is where I spent decades teaching. But I was born in Chicago. And I have a lot of family who live in the Chicago area. And we know that this is the next place that 47 is threatening to send troops, National Guard and troops. Uh, if you have not seen it, you should watch the replay of Governor J.B. Pritzker's speech that he gave today. It was a master class in in that kind of a speech. And one of the things that I don't remember ever having heard in my lifetime, and you know my lifetime has been long, is I've never actually heard a governor call for uh, nonviolent resistance in the streets. But he called for that should 47 bring troops and the National Guard to Chicago. It's a really great speech. He mentioned the fact that there are many, many cities, Republican ones, who've got a way worse problem with crime, which is supposedly why he's sending the troops to the Chicago, than Chicago does. We know why he's sending troops to Chicago. It's another city with a black mayor and a lot of black people. And, he is, I am sure his well, I was going to say his right-hand man, but I'm wondering which one is the right-hand man? Is it 47 or is it Miller? But that we know that Miller is a part of this. We know that Project 2025 is part of this. We know that if they can do some mass incarcerations of people, then there's their built-in workforce uh, because in this country, it is still legal to force people to work for no wages, i.e., slavery. And that is when they are incarcerated. So you need people to pick your crops and build your buildings and do all those things. What better way to create that workforce ultimately than to, you know, go into the streets and arrest everybody? Anyway, whether they're homeless, whether they're whoever. So I would just like to know what will happen with Chicago. Now, by the way, Pritzker was quite insulting, appropriately, I thought, to 47 and his mental faculties. And that's just like a red cape to a bull. In response, 47 said, I'm very smart. Okay. But anyway, we know he hates people casting aspersions on his intelligence or lack. thereof. Another thing that I thought was really interesting is a former New Jerseyan, Chris Christie, who absolutely bent the knee and kissed the ring the first time around, but who has now since been a critic. I don't think as vociferously as he could have been or could be. Uh, Chris Christie, of course, the governor, former governor of New Jersey, had some words for 47, and 47 says, maybe we need to revisit that whole Bridgegate thing, which happened, I mean, years ago. I was living there at the time. And so he's selling a wolf ticket. For those of you who don't know that very old expression, he's making a threat against Chris Christie. So I guess the two things I want to look at is one is Chicago, but the other, I would like to see, is the worm finally starting to turn? Are people who have been hesitant to criticize you know who, or who like him, have liked him in the past, are they starting to see the light and realize who they're dealing with here? And will that change anything? But first, let's look at Chicago. So I think for Chicago, I'll use the Garden because the Garden can be a place, and think of it as the city of Chicago. What will happen in, these are the 47 in the city of Chicago. And let me say, Chicago, just like Jersey and New York, they don't play. Just like Boston, these cities don't play. So if he thinks he has come to play, he's gonna get his feelings hurt. That's what I suspect. But anyway, let's just see what lies in store for Chicago and what Chicago will have in store for 47. Other readers have said this. I said this months and months ago. Um, Kent State. If you don't know what it is, research it because Kent State comes to mind. This will be no easy thing. This will be no bloodless thing. Um, I guess we are again like we were in 68. We may be in another season of martyrs. And these martyrs will not be, you know, civil rights leaders. I think they will be the general populace. I think things are coming, and I've talked about that before. So, that's not news. If you read my Substack, my most recent one, it speaks to some of that. But now we're going to use the garden. It will stand for my city of my birth, Chicago. And we want to see how that will go, what will happen in Chicago in the next week or two. Okay, remember, we're looking for the garden. Came up pretty quickly. Okay, so we have the whip, we have the moon, we have the garden, we have the rider, and we have the ring. So, you know, if you've read any Carl Sandburg, the poet, the American poet, he wrote about Chicago a lot, and talks about it as being this sort of muscular city, and it really is. As like I said, the spirit must have been listening to me when I spoke before I pulled the cards. Chicago does not play. If you come for them, they're gonna come for you. This is the whip card. You want a piece of this? They're going to give you a piece of it because that's their reputation. They are a tough, town. By the way, it's got beautiful architecture, amazing restaurants, wonderful art museums, but they don't play. They do not play in Chicago. So if he wants a piece of them, he's going to get a piece of them. Then they're going to give him a piece. Uh, Garden is in the middle. And the rider, this is the news. What's the news? The news that Chicago will give him is, what goes around comes around. You come for us, we're coming for you. Okay. So here we go back to this whip. And again, this is the card for arguments. It can be the card also for violence, but it's not pleasant. Clarifiers are the clouds, the star, and the sun. Uh, so there's our whip. Clouds. You know, what he wants to do, of course, is create confusion, fear, etc., worry. Um, but moving forward, Chicago is a city of hope, and it is very clear what he's doing. He's not trying to combat crime. This is racial and political, both. And that will be very clear to people. Okay. The moon, remember, is reputation. We have the tower, the ship, and the heart. Reputation of Chicago. They can handle their business. They can take care of themselves. They are an entity unto themselves. So if he wants to, go through that moat with the alligators that he's so fond of, come on, says Chicago. Come on, bring it. Because we love our city. Chicagoans love their city, and they should. Only thing I didn't love about the Chicago was the wind, which I remember from being a little girl. I'd hold my father's hand and worry that I was going to be like my legs were going to be up in the air, and the only thing that would hold me down would be him holding my hand. The wind is so fierce off Lake Michigan. But Chicagoans are very city proud. And the fact that he's coming for them is just going to make their eyes narrow and their jaws clench. So here's Chicago, and we have the mice, the book, and the mountain. Of course, what he wants to do to Chicago is instill fear, right? He wants to take city by city by city and instill fear so that he could be the new Hitler. Just saying. That's what he wants to do, instill fear. But what he doesn't know is Chicago will be unmoved by that. He might say, Mountain, move out of my way. Chicago's not moving out of his way. Now, again, is this problematic? Well, yes, because the more Chicago resists, the more he's going to use his people to attack. And I see that because the message that he wants to send is, I'm the boss of you. There's our narcissistic, you know who. He will use violence and the power of the White House against Chicago. Final card is the ring, and the clarifiers are the woman, the stork, and the tree. Again, Chicago has had its issues over the decades. And so history is repeating itself. And, what goes around comes around. I like these three. I mean, I think that uh, even though this is a yin card, I think this is a card that can stand up to a bully. Uh, we have the stork, which is positive change, and then we have the tree. So, my mother would sing this song, we shall not be moved. It's from the civil rights era, of course. We shall not be moved, just like a tree standing by the water. We shall not be moved. And I don't know what he thinks he's going to do to Chicago, but do you remember The Color Purple, where Celie is on a cart leaving her abusive husband and or whoever he was, and, well, yeah, husband, and he's cursing at her and yelling and screaming, and she does the evil eye and she says to him, "Everything you've done to me already been done to you." And I think that will be the message that Chicago sends 47. Everything you do to us already been done to you. I already did a reading the other day, so whenever Friday, I guess, talking about the fact that his health is in decline. And what I noticed that's interesting is that this has gone from being a conversation amongst readers and diviners, and it has entered the zeitgeist, meaning that many more people in just the general public are noticing issues with his health and that he seems to be in fast decline. Even he is noticing it and has spoken on it. So I say all that to say, if he wants a fight with Chicago, that will just add more stress to his plate, which will speed him on his way to wherever it is he is bound, if you get my drift. Entertainment purposes only. I'm not going to say allegedly. I'll just say entertainment purposes only. Um, Now, the other question that I want to look at before I go is, um, food prices are way up. Uh, now, now, Europe will not ship stuff here because of the tariffs. Uh, the military and the National Guard are being ill used. People are being kidnapped off the street in all over the country. We are complicit in a genocide because the government is allied with Israel. I just would like to know, are the people who were good with all this before still good with it? Or is the veneer wearing off? So I just want to know, among people who have been historically supporters of his, between all of that and then, of course, the whole Epstein saga, which is not going away, uh, is a tide turning in regard to public opinion amongst people who have heretofore been supportive of him? How is the crowd feeling about him now? What is the buzz in the MAGA world? So, since we're talking about buzz, we will use birds. And I just would like to know um, whether there is a shift in loyalty away from him. If there is, it would not be to any other particular person. Like they're not all going to flock to, I don't know, Stephen Miller or JD Vance or Project 2025 or Richard Vogt or whatever that guy's name is, Russell Vogt, or Peter Thiel or Elon Musk. I think it'll just implode. But I want to know, has the implosion started yet? Um, are people, is the thrill gone yet in a way that's big enough to make a difference? Will people in Congress, for example, show some moxie? I'll call it moxie since we're on YouTube. I could use a different word, but okay. Yeah, so I'm going to use birds, and I want to know what is the talk on the street amongst the erstwhile, maybe still, I don't know, MAGA faithful. Remember, we're looking for birds. Okay. What is the talk about him? Okay. Because remember, they have to eat. Their food has gone up, their coffee has gone up, the cost of clothes has gone up, the cost of everything, utilities has gone up. How are they feeling? Well, they're feeling that government really needs to do better. So this means that the natives are restless. In terms of him, oh, look, so here's the buzz in the middle, the coffin, and the anchor. And I feel like these are both very heavy, weighted down cards. And I think that that population, because that's what I'm asking about, just these people have said, this is starting to feel like an albatross around our necks. This is starting to feel like more trouble than it's worth. And what is it worth? This is starting to feel like we're not reaping any benefits from this. If anything, we're being as hurt as are the people that we thought would be hurt. Like, the immigrants, the women, the Black people. Well, why are we feeling this too? So I think they are also aware that he is physically failing. And by physically, I mean physically and mentally failing. And I feel like there is a heaviness amongst that population, the MAGA people. They still have not seen the Epstein files. They won't if 47 has anything to do with it. That Maxwell interview did nothing to help and really only hurt. So I think there's a lot of heaviness in that camp. Um, good, good. Again, I think that for everyone, things will get heavier before they get lighter. So for those of you who ask, and every so often, I mean, well, every video, I'll get somebody who'll say, when is this going to end? Well, it'll end when enough people are ready for it to end. So what can you do? You can help people be ready for it to end. Point out to them what the prices are. Point out to them all of the ways in which the promises that he made have not been kept. Point out to them that they've not seen the Epstein files. Point out to them that Ghislaine Maxwell is now in a camp fed. Point those things out because the energy feels really heavy among them. Uh, you know, they don't really listen well to I told you so, but that is the message that they're getting was that, they bought a pig in a poke. This was not what they bargained for. So that's good. Things are going in the direction that they need to go in. But again, things will be harder and heavier before they get easier and lighter. And that's just the way it is. Um, if you need to take a break, but then get back up because what are you doing? Come on. Everyone is needed and you can rest when you're dead. That's my philosophy anyway. All right, listen, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. Have loved your comments. Um, in terms of the book that Nancy Hendrickson was talking about yesterday, the Ancestral Seance, we talked about it, and I think she's going to keep the name the way that it was. And a viewer made a really good argument for it. They said they were talking about, the Mexican Day of the Dead. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. This is what we're talking about, is how do we have conversations with those who are no longer on this plane, which is to say, dead. And no amount of dressing it up is going to change that. So maybe, it's a way that we can be realistic and not so fragile and euphemistic. Let's just call things what they are. So I think she's going to keep the book title the way that it is. I'm not sure. But at any rate, thank you all for watching yesterday. Thank you for watching today. And I really appreciate all your support. And I'll be back on Wednesday. Take care.